Hello, everyone. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how. It's free. Isn't that awesome? There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Is that amazing or what? It's everything you need to make your podcast in one place. So, here is a call to action for you. I would recommend you start your podcast today. Download the free Anchor app, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. Talk with you soon. Greetings and salutations and happy Thursday to everyone. This is your host, Tasha Ryder. It's so good to be back and really in a great headspace to talk with you all for another episode of MiThyme Motivation. Thanks so much for tuning in. I also want to say thank you to the essential workers out there, and thank you all for your sacrifices and all the things that you guys are doing to support this pandemic, this intense time that we're in. And it's still not over. So today's topic is about how to find your why. So I want to get started with that, but I will just kind of let you know I had not been making any podcasts for a while. I've been working on a few other things. So again, stay tuned for that. But I do want to recommend that as we are going to unpack this podcast today, finding your why. How to find your why. I was recently on a webinar and I heard something from one of the sharks, Damon John, and he was talking about the why. And so this why factor reminded me in my lifetime, once I made a shift in my career. As you all know, I spent over 20 years working in higher education in various leadership roles. If you've been listening to my podcast, then you know the story. And I decided to make a shift and start working as an insurance agency because I was interested in creating a legacy. And so that'll be on another podcast. So just kind of put a pin note there. But as I was on this webinar listening to Damon John, I thought, wow, this is really a great question. And this question was asked of me. My why was that I wanted to create a legacy, not for me, as the word says, it was for someone else. For me, it was my family. And at that time that I was asked that question, I really just had, parents and siblings and, more so that type of immediate family. But as current day, I thought, wow, what if someone asked me that question now? What is my why? Is it to pay bills? Is it what is that? What does that look like? Is it still a legacy? And so it's always going to be that. That's what I came up with, right? Because the world demands it. What do you have stored up for generations to come? And so working for someone else did not provide that. As you know, I've been downsized many times. So the pandemic, while it's called something different, it still represented a financial burden in regards or to just being where in a step where you're constantly seeing money go out of your account and not as much coming in as you're accustomed to, some type of financial hardship. And so my why is still the legacy, and my why is to never ever ever have to work for someone again. Now, that is not to say that you will not go into a place to work for someone to rebuild or keep your account at a certain level, but it means ultimately that's not the long goal term plan. Long term, long goal plan. It's not it. It's not working for someone else. And so the time is evident that there's a reckoning coming if you believe in the Bible. And so for me, I just cannot wait for someone else to provide the things that I'm responsible for creating for my family. And that's my why. And my why, if you were asking me this question in 2008, was that I wanted to be of service. I wanted to do good. I wanted to help people. And that's still my why. So I have a lot of whys. Those things in 2008 and in my younger years, it really motivated me to get out of bed. And so I just could not quit. I could not give up. It wasn't a part of how I was raised or my upbringing or anything that I had read in school or any parts of courseworks from a bachelor's to master's to a doctoral program. And being ABD now, it still is not part of anything I've ever worked on. And so I know that there are many, many reasons for why. And so I want to encourage you today to really, really think about it, because it's kind of like an elevator pitch. I don't think it should be the same. So an elevator pitch is, just what we know it to be. But if someone asks you your why, it seems like that would take a little bit more thought. If elevator pitch, hey, I'm the best thing smoking, something that you've always needed and never known about. I mean, okay, I'm just kidding, but you understand what I'm saying. And so I think that 2-minute elevator pitch, you learn that in business school, you learn what you need to say to people, and that's what an elevator pitch is. But I think when you're talking about your why, it has to be a little bit more thought-provoking than an elevator pitch. Moving on. So now you know my why, and now you know something that wasn't on topic in regards to an elevator pitch. But what's your why? Why are you doing what you do? What's your why as to what you're doing every day? And so someone said to me, well, my why used to be just to make sure I had a job to pay my bills. And then I asked the question, which was a question in the room. Well, what about days where you don't feel like paying your bills? Do you feel like paying your bills right now? And so I don't think so. So, I mean, you can when you're able, but what about times where it's a little sketchy or you're unable or something's missing or there's some lack? And many people have experienced this even before these intense times. They were running a rat race every month. I mean, I know about it because I was downsized from a 6-figure income. So you go from 6 figures to $0. That should be a book. I can write it. I'm just saying. But you definitely need to, and I survived it. So you definitely need to figure out, some people are motivated by money, and some people, think money is a curse, or the love of money is what the Bible says is horrible. But different people feel very funny about having money. Oh my God, I have money. What is the problem? And so that's not a problem for me, just saying. But when you have this overflow, like the Oprah kind of money, what do you feel about that? How do you help people? And notice, she just gave $12 million to Chicago and Nashville, and there's Mississippi and some other places, but she said she started at the front line, which was her family. How dare her family hear about something? And then later, now she's helping all these other people. So she gave $1 million, I believe, to the American Red Cross. Don't quote me on that because I'm going off of something that I kind of just saw in a snippet of an article, but the woman gives, and she's a giver. Hello. So yeah, that's helping people. That's being of service. And so I think when you go into being of service, success follows. And so that was my why. And so my husband, his why is always that he wants to help people. He wants to build people. He wants to promote people and help people to come out of negativity into a positive story. And so this is what I would say one of many things that he does very well. And then I've always said that when people ask me, well, what's your passion? I love to help people. I will do that for free. I have done that for free for many years. So, and that's another story. And so when I was first laid off back in 2008, I decided, yeah, I'm going to go and do things that I had not had an opportunity to do. Didn't have a whole lot of time before I found something else, but recently when I got downsized from my six-figure position back in 2013, and I came from the East Coast back to the Midwest, I really was like, I don't care what's going on, I am not doing anything else until I go and help someone. And finances took a hit because of it, but I was okay with that because I thought maybe God really just wanted me to be still and go and help some more people in my home base, because I was helping people out on the East Coast. But what about where your home base was? So that's what I did, and I loved it. It's how my husband and I met. That's another story, but it works out. It really does. And so I am going to really give a lot of thought about how to continue to help other people find their why, because this is really a thought-provoking question, and it really cannot be answered like in a small podcast segment. You guys know I don't do long podcasts. I don't listen to long podcasts. I never have. I started listening to podcasts back in 2012. I love podcasts. If I'm rolling on the road, the podcast is the best thing for me because people are talking and talking some more. But when you are with very little time, you just kind of need to get it and quit it. And if that's you, then stay tuned for more MiThyme motivation. Hey guys, it's been a blessing having you here with me, knowing that you're listening. I am excited about your future. And as my bishop, Larry D. Trotter, always says, I'm excited about your future because what's coming for you is better than what's been. Thank you to all the people that are graduating out there in 2020. I know it's been an unusual kind of story having to graduate virtually for many people, but the goal is this too shall pass. So just hold on to that, and hopefully schools will get back together and bring back all the people that graduated this year. I love education. I am so passionate about education. Since I can remember being in the world, I have loved education. So I am feeling great seeing all of these graduates in 2020, like everywhere, all over television and social media. So keep up the great work, guys. I am so proud of you. And recently, the best story, and I'm going to try to not get emotional about this, Nick Cannon graduated, and he is graduated from Howard University with a bachelor's degree, and he's going to go on. But the main thing that is like a really tearjerker was he was like, hey, I'm doing this for my kids. Leading by example. What a novel concept. So congratulations to him as well. And I'm going to tell you, like I often say, I love you all so much, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk soon on the next MiThyme Motivation Podcast.